Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. So, this is the second time I'm recording this, because I recorded one yesterday when I was out, but it didn't quite capture what I was trying to capture, I don't think. I feel like it came off kind of lazy, kind of haphazard, and I wanted to do this the right way. So this is going to be the episode I'm actually upload. So this is take two, if you will. As you know, if you listen to this podcast, you know I tend to lean to the left, politically. And by tend, I mean do, and by a little, I mean like all the way to the left. Either way, let's how do I put this? There are protests going on, and a lot of media companies have been talking about how they support their black creators, their black artists, black actors, talent, all of that kind of stuff. So, like, that's, like, cool and all, and it's nice that they do that, but I don't really think it's quite, quite hitting what they think it is. And what do I mean by that? I mean there's a level of hypocrisy with a lot of these companies saying what it is, what that they believe this and they stand with these people, when really they don't. And there's been evidence over the years of them not quite doing it. I'm not talking about distant past. I'm talking about recent past. I'm talking about in the last few years. Let's start out with the open one. Disney, the Walt Disney Company, who had the laziest response before eventually donating money. The laziest response to this, which was they put they put out the statement saying we stand with our black creators and our black talent and all of that, which is a good statement, and don't get me wrong, that statement is a good statement. However, they could have customized it for each company they were doing it for. Walt Disney Animation, for Pixar, for Lucasfilm, for Marvel. They could have changed up the verbiage a little bit, maybe put we at Pixar, we at, the Walt Disney Animation, we at Disney Parks. Had they done that, it would have seemed a little bit more, sincere, but not quite, it doesn't quite resonate the way it should, because it's a form, it's cookie cutter, and it doesn't quite last. On top of the fact that they don't quite stand with what they do. Disney Animation, Disney Pixar, does not really make movies starring black actors and actresses. It's infrequent at best, and when they do make a movie with a lead that is black, they anthropomorphize them. They become They become some kind of animal. Look at Soul. Soul comes out this year, and the majority of the movie, the lead, is a little sprite thing. He's not able to be viewed as black. If you look at, if you look at the Princess and the Frog, same situation. Most of the movie, she's a frog, not a human. And that may not seem like it means a lot, but when you're looking at it in the viewpoint of we care about representation, you're not really representing them if you're taking away part of their identity and turning them into something else to make it more palatable for international markets. Look at Lucasfilm. What Lucasfilm did for The Force Awakens. In The Force Awakens, the poster has Finn in a sizable role, and that's because on the in all the promotional materials and everything, he was billed to be the Jedi. He was billed to be the one who has the lightsaber and is the Jedi. Meanwhile, if we look at, and then it turns out it was Rey, but that's how it was built, is that he's going to be the protagonist of the new series, he's going to be the one in the lead, and then you get that fake out at the end, and it turns out it's Rey. But on the Chinese poster, he's removed completely. And it's not like you can say, they redesigned it and it wasn't necessary. He's still a major part of that movie, and he's nowhere to be found on that poster. At all. It's just, And on top of that, they refuse to stand with the actors and the actresses out of fear of alienating part of their base, out of part of the fan base. For example, again, using John Boyega as the example, yesterday I put out a statement saying, and this is really what it was that prompted me re-recording this, was that really pissed me off that they did this. They put out the statement saying that John Boyega, we stand with him, as he goes out and makes these comments, about, he made his speech about racial injustice, and they said, we've always stood with John Boyega. And it's like, no, you haven't. You have not for a second stood with John Boyega. You didn't denounce the fans who were calling him the N-word every day for, the better part of almost half a decade at this point, since he was cast in The Force Awakens. Every racist joke that was made about his appearance, everything about how they made the stormtroopers black, every racist comment that came out of it, and then you even bended to their will come the end of it, and gave and did what the racists wanted when it came to the Rise of Skywalker. It's disgusting. And then you're like, oh, we stand with him. No, you don't. You never stood with him. Would it have been so hard to put out a statement and say, no true fan of Star Wars would, partake in this kind of behavior? I know it'd be dismissed by those people as a no true Scotsman fallacy, but still, it's better than nothing. It's better than not acknowledging it all and hoping it goes away. Disney openly advertises on right-wing news sources, Fox News, and things like that, because they still want that money. They always minimize the role of any character they have who's some kind of minority or even LGBT community, because they don't want to alienate anyone. So really, Disney is kind of putting themselves out there saying this, getting patted on the back by a few people who aren't really looking into what they actually do, and really they don't. It's like, if they stood with their talent, they'd put out statements, and they don't put out statements. They don't stand with the talent. That's just it's a lie. What else is there? On the other side, Warner Brothers, and DC Comics by extension, had a similar issue. They put out a statement saying that they stand with their creators, their artists, their actors of color. Now, here's the thing that's kind of weird that I noticed. There doesn't tend to be as much vocal hate for DC Comics on online, whenever they were race-bend a character. And that was with when they cast Zoe Kravitz, when they cast Journey Smollett Bell. It was still there, but it was just not quite as prevalent and widespread as it is when when Marvel or Star Wars brings in a minority or a woman or anything like that. It's not seen in quite the same declaration of war fashion that it is for the other side. And I think it has to do with the fact that Disney owns, Marvel and that. And then on top of it, I think it also has something to do with the fact that fans of this have latched onto it in the wake of Batman v Superman and all of that, and now they've kind of attached themselves to it, and they can't be hypocritical and attack. They're stuck with this now. This is what they are. Either way, regardless of whatever reason it is, it still happens. So Journey Smollett Bell got cast as Black Canary, playing Dinah Lance, and she got attacked by racists online for it. They got it's all kinds of things like that where they don't stand up for them. DC refuses to turn Poison Ivy into an anti-hero of sorts when it's the perfect way to do it. It's the perfect character to do that with. It refuses to acknowledge any kind of an LGBT relationship with Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. It's all about what can we do to keep this small section of the fan base appeased that's never going to truly be appeased, and they're trying too hard with that. Who else? There are a few others that were hypocritical. Continuing with Warner Brothers, we stand with our talent. Candace Patton has been getting death threats since she was cast as Iris West, Iris West before season 1 of The Flash, because she's black. Kiersey Clemens was a similar situation, but it wasn't quite as vocal for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure why that is. When she was cast, she was openly getting threatened and called all kinds of racial slurs and everything online, and Warner Bros. Never stood with her. Ever. The only show from Berlanti's Arrowverse on the CW that does not have a home media release past season 1 is Black Lightning. Legends of Tomorrow got one for every season, and it has one coming out for the most recent season. The Supergirl has it, The Flash has it, Arrow has it. All of them have it. But if you look at like Warner Bros. In general, Titans got 2 seasons on home media. Doom Patrol got it. Swamp Thing, which got canceled, got a home media release. So don't give me nonsense about how it's like, oh, it's, it's people won't buy it. More people watch Black Lightning than any other shows on DC Universe because no one subscribes to DC Universe. And DC Universe shows got a home media release, but Black Lightning didn't past season 1. And you tell me that's not because of race. It's... And what's going to happen is all the companies will come out and say they do, all this good thing, they're going to do all of this, stuff, and then they're not going to, they're going to slowly go back to the way they were, and they're going to, try and bank on that goodwill for a while. But these companies are not, doing the right thing. If you want to go out and support any black creators right now, I got a few suggestions. One of my favorite authors right now is Ta-Nehisi Coates. He wrote The Water Dancer if you're into science fiction, which is a historical science fiction book about a guy who escapes slavery and has the end mission to rescue the woman who raised him and the woman he's in love with. It's a beautiful story and such a heart-wrenching account of slavery. It's worth checking out. What else was there? There was... I forget those other ones. He also wrote We Were 8 Years in Power, which I'm reading right now, which is a collection of his articles from The Atlantic about that he wrote about race relations and what it means to be black in America while Obama was in power over those 8 years. The audiobook has an epilogue that I'm still in chapter 1, but the audiobook he said in the beginning has an epilogue about how that relates now to the current era. What was the other one? Between the World and Me, which is another book he wrote. It's a short one. I read it. I listened to the audiobook. It's read by him. Such a powerful account of what it means to be black in America. And what else do I have? He also did a run. If you like comics, he did a run on Black Panther and on Captain America. I would read. What else is there that I was thinking of? I should have written it down. Children of Blood and Bone, which is getting a lot of acclaim. It just had a sequel come out. The Hate U Give, another great book that I've read. Just try to go out and support black creators right now. That's what I'm saying. We'll be back next week with another regularly scheduled episode as normal. And I think we're going to be doing a different movie from what we were going to do this week. Next week, I think we'll just cover The Hate U Give, the movie adaptation that came out last year or 2 years ago. I bought it on DVD, but I haven't watched it yet, so we'll do that next week. So until then, have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back with The Hate U Give next week.